G'day, my name's Chris Anderson and welcome to the Ando and Co podcast. Today I'm super excited to be sitting down with Michael Lucas from East Rugby Union. And Michael, what can you tell us about yourself?
Oh, mate, firstly, thanks for having me. It's great to be involved with the podcast. I have heard about the podcast, so it's exciting that you're underway and you're doing this and communicating with the local community around different issues. So, I suppose, mate, in a nutshell, for me, currently General Manager at East Rugby Union Club. I've been based locally for the majority of my life, having been based down or growing up in Chandler, and then going to school at St Martin's, and followed by Villanova, and being at East, I've obviously got a lot of connections through Villanova there, because half of Villanova seems to find their way to East at some point in their life. For me, I suppose what I love about being involved at a rugby club like East is the connection that I have to the local community, and that this club has with the local community. And there's the people involved in this club. You see it certainly from my time as a junior player here. Now we're starting to see people of my age and younger and older start bringing their children through the club, and it's the same guys that I played with, or guys and girls that I played with 30 years ago as juniors have now got kids here. So that's what's really pleasing, and I think a great reflection on the club down here is that people come back and families want to engage with us.
Absolutely. And I understand it's the 75th year this year for the club. What does that mean for you?
Look, for me, it probably, to be fair, it's a huge thing for me because it represents such a point in the club's history. To be honest, it probably means even more to a lot of guys that have been involved at the club even longer than me, and I know there's lots of people within our community that have been involved with East from its inception, and certainly for 50 plus years. That the 75th year of the club, I mean, it's a real tick in the box to the longevity of the club, and the fact that what we've got here and what people have built here over time has stood the test of time, and it's a place that people want to engage in at 75 years. I think it's also a great opportunity for us to remember the history of the club, and we've got some exciting things in place this year. Major events on the 22nd of April, we're holding our season launch, which we started last year, and it was a great success. This year it's great, and we're already looking like we'll have over 300 people attending, which is fantastic. The big ticket items celebrating our community and our 75th year this year is the 75th dinner, which is on the 23rd of July, Brisbane Exhibition Centre. We're looking to make that one of the great events that the club's ever hosted, and a real celebration of 75 years. So look, the events are going to be fantastic, but just throughout the year there'll be celebration. You'll see from the club promotion regarding our history, and regular features on the history of the club, different stories around different people at the club. Brett Scott, Dennis Owens, the Bremner family, staunch East families that have really played such a pivotal role in the history of the club, and if we do anything this year, we want to capture those historical moments from the last 75 years, and we want to be able to look back at the end of the year and have a catalogue of work that's really celebrated a milestone year in the club.
Awesome. And just thinking about that dinner, who can attend that? How does that all work?
Mate, it's open to anyone. Obviously, people that have been involved in the club are going to be the ones that naturally want to gravitate towards an event like that, I'd imagine. But we certainly, the beauty of East is we'll welcome anyone. So if there's people that want to be engaged that might have been detached from the club for a while, people that have been living overseas, people that found themselves living on the other side of town, they might even have kids playing at different clubs. We'd love to get them back, and that's the whole theme of that night, is really reconnecting everybody to celebrate a great year in the club. We'll have all the promotion around that event will kick off in about 3 weeks' time, with tickets opening and what have you, and we'll be promoting the event, the people that'll be there, and the night itself. We're looking to make that a great night for the club.
Awesome. And what are some of the stories that stand out for you covering that 75-year history, or even while you've been involved with the club?
Yeah. Look, I think there's 1,000 stories around this club of people that have been involved with this club, and there's, as I mentioned earlier, so many people that have been involved in this club. I've been involved in this club in one way, shape or form, player, coach, employee, since 1988, and there's people that go back much further than that who are still kicking around in this, who are still kicking around the club now and supporting the club on a weekly basis. So I suppose the big stories, the most recent story for me is the 2020 year, with everything we faced with COVID. For the club to win 6 premierships that year was just fantastic. A real good example of people, I suppose, pulling together in less than ideal circumstances, and everyone was feeling that in one way, shape or form, whether it be family, work or sport. I mean, community sport was certainly affected greatly that year. So the 6 from 6 year, that was a fantastic story, but more so, I suppose, in my time more recently at the club, just the growth of our junior program's been fantastic. So we are looking as though we'll be somewhere around the 1,100 junior rugby participants this year. So it's fantastic that our junior families keep engaging in the club, and we want to create an environment where people feel they can come down here, their kids have fun. We create an environment where they can socialise with local people, all based in our community, and when they come down here, it's relaxed and it's easy, and that's what we're trying to create. So the growth of our juniors is 6 from 6, and then other great stories in our history around grand final victories. So it's 25 years this year since our first premiership as a club. So to be able to combine that milestone with our 75 years, it's and we've still got great people involved. Pete Murdoch, who was captain of that team, he's on the board currently at the club. We've got Andrew Scottney, has a son who plays at the club. Graham Holt's son's just started playing Colts at the club. We've got Jeremy Paul, who was the hooker that day, went on to play for Australia. He's the guest speaker at our launch on the 22nd of April. So I know Ross West, who plays in the centres. He's organised the table, and Tony McGahan's involved with our first grade, who also played that day. So and I'm probably forgetting a couple of guys, but there's so many guys that it's a big year for them, and that's probably one of the great stories that'll come from this year, is just remembering our first senior club premiership and what a special occasion that was for the club.
And so when you say first senior club premiership, that's any grade, or is that premier?
First grade, first grade premiership. So the club's we've won plenty of premierships across our time. We've certainly but there's no, I suppose, secret. It's probably lean times up until 1997, as far as we got close on a few occasions. But 1997, when we won the premiership, that was certainly that was a great day. That was against a pretty strong Souths team too, from memory. So the boys did really well.
Awesome. And just walk me through, so 2020, you've got 6 teams in the finals. How does it feel around the club leading up to that day and then on the day?
Yeah, it was huge. So it was probably the biggest, because those teams all played finals to qualify for the grand final, obviously. So the week or two leading into the grand final was unbelievable as well, because every week we had 6 teams. So in club rugby, if you don't make the finals, you stop training. So in a normal year, our goal at a club, as a club I should say, is to have 8 to 10 teams qualify for finals every year across the senior program. We'll have about 12 to 13 teams this year. If we can get a minimum of 8 teams into finals, we feel like we're tracking well. So So that year, I think from memory, we had 10 or 11 of our teams play finals.
Awesome.
And the feeling at the club, when you're playing, you know, and it's... when you're in a position where all bets are off and if you lose, you go home, it just creates a real buzz around the club. And the weeks leading that grand final were huge, but then the grand final weekend itself, I mean, you probably don't expect to win 6. Like, yeah, certainly. Like it'd be tremendous, and you know, you'd love to think it'll happen, but I think there's so much luck that goes into grand finals, and you know, the bounce of the ball, a decision here or there, and they're usually really tight contests. So there's factors that come into it that you can't control, which means the result may not go your way. And for us that day, it was we had luck, but we also had a lot of momentum build through that weekend. So I think we won our first one was maybe Colts 4 on a Thursday night, and those boys beat a team that was on top, had been on top of the ladder all year. They beat UQ out there and probably weren't expected to, and they did. And then we had 5th grade and 3rd grade get up, and they did, like, you know, that really solid games. And then so we're 3 from 3 after the first day, and everyone's come back to the club except for the guys obviously having to go the next day, 1st grade, 2nd grade in our women's team. But there was a bit of a buzz around the joint on the Saturday night because we've won 3 here, we got 3 tomorrow. We thought we were a really good show in the women and 1st grade, and 2nd grade it could have gone either way. Brothers had beaten us in the final to qualify. So, and they'd beaten us in the last round of the season in 2nd grade. So we probably wouldn't have been considered favourites there. But mate, we played that and we smoked them by 20 points or something. And all of a sudden, and sorry, even prior to that, the women, Premier Women had won in the morning, snuck over the line against Jeeps. And so they're 4 from 4, and then 2nd grade won, and yeah, as I said, probably weren't expected to, and but they got up, and they got up well. They just absolutely brained it, and then it was on because it was 5 from 5, and then my biggest concern moved from whether 1st grade were going to win to how many East blokes might get arrested on the hill, and what the hell was going on up there that I was not going to have any ability to control and would potentially fill my inbox on Monday.
And to be fair, you've probably got 4 teams all backing up from big nights who are all wanting to support that as well.
Yeah, so. Some blokes. Well, we had a big function start here at, I'm going to say, about 7 o'clock in the morning. We kicked off here with breakfast for everyone, and then buses and everything out to Ballymore, and we just had buses going on loop all day out to Ballymore for the different games. So there were definitely the guys who won the grand final the night or the day before just kept going. So they didn't stop. So they were, by Monday they were a little worse for wear. But mate, fair play to everyone involved in those grand finals. They kept going for about a week, I reckon. So they were enjoying themselves, put it that way.
Oh, good to hear.
Yeah.
And just thinking about that happening, was that also the year that Benny Mullen came back to town?
Yeah, it was. So we had Ben come back the year before. So Ben came back at the end of 2019.
Yep.
But he didn't get back until we had to get him cleared from Pau, who's playing in France at the time, and his contract at Pau finishing, and our season didn't line up enough for him to play sufficient games to qualify for finals in 2019. And we ended up getting rolled out in the elimination in 2019 anyway. But so yeah, he came back, and that was always on the cards for Ben to come back. It was probably about 18 months in the pipeline for him to come back in 2020. So he was very keen to come back and play, and he was absolutely huge for us that year. Yeah. So just what he brought across the board was fantastic. and you bring a player of that calibre back into any first grade side, and they're going to add tremendous value on and off the field.
And is he somehow, or is some of that team a part of the junior development at this stage as well?
Sorry, you're just referring to...
So really anyone who's involved in any of those teams, are they somehow involved in juniors?
In our junior rugby program?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, so what we like to do, we like to get our first grade guys in particular down and give their time. So they'll come down on occasion through the junior season and help. We're always conscious that our first grade guys, they're not contracted to us. They pay registration fees and they work full time or study full time or whatever they're doing outside of rugby. So we're always conscious that and they are extremely generous in their time that they give, turning up to support junior rugby. And we're forever thankful for the guys we have. Ben directly he's now employed here as our first grade head coach, and he's involved with our coach education program. He's running the junior rugby camp that we have on at the moment. He'll run the next two over the July and September school holidays. So he's directly involved in our junior program, and he's heavily invested in it because he's got kids that play at the club as well. So he gets it, So he understands that our junior pathways, it's a big beast. So a huge beast for only a couple of people to really drive. So we rely heavily on volunteers, and we've got tremendous volunteers through our community with our parent group in particular who put their hand up. Some of the time that people give at this place to assist us is unbelievable, and frankly we don't function without our volunteers. If we don't, they're really the lifeblood of what we do and allow us to do our work. If it was just 2 or 3 people doing everything, an impossible job.
And just thinking about the 1,100 people that are now involved in that junior program, how does that look compared to previous years in terms of that growth?
Yeah, it's just been steady. So we've sort of I'll just speak to my time here. But in 2019, we had about 960, and then 2020 we got up. We were 999 in 2020, so just under 1,000. And then last year we were up to 1,030. So we're just sort of picking up a few players here or there, and a few new players. So we've had really strong growth particularly through our junior age groups. We've got a Tiger Cubs. So Tiger Cubs is our under 3 to 5 program. We've re-engineered that this year, and that's grown a lot based on that. We've got the Jungle Play Centre at Tingalpa as a major sponsor and of that program, and we've played with that program to we think make it a better product than it was, and so we've seen great growth there. Probably about a 30-40% growth in our under 3 to 5 market or under 4 to 5 market, and then our under 7s, 8s, 9s, really 10s and 11s, really good strength. And then probably for us in juniors, the challenge we face, and every rugby club faces the same challenge, is under 12s and up is traditionally when our teams drop back, and there's a lot of factors involved in that. I think primary factors are school rugby, and also the fact that kids just have a ridiculous amount, or families have such a ridiculous amount of commitments these days. And I know myself with my kids, I'm here, but then when I'm not here, I'm running off to netball, or I'm running off to whatever other sport it might be, that you basketball, whatever it might be, that my kids are doing. So it just, once they get to that under 12 and up, we do drop back in teams, but we are happy with where we sit there. We've sustained our numbers in age groups and grown. We haven't gone backwards. So that's been positive, and we're continually working on what we can do to engage our kids through that period, because what we find is we've got 5 under 20 teams. They come back.
Yeah, exactly.
So we get them back eventually, but we've worked super hard on our under 20 program. So it's great to have that engagement back in the club.
And just thinking about those people that come back, finish maybe their school rugby, they'd been playing at East or another club beforehand. What does it mean for those people coming back, sort of that under 20 age group, starting to make it in the workforce, building that community at East? What do you see as the benefits that people have as being a part of the community?
It's on their terms, I think.
Yeah.
So for us, having 5 Colts teams, you can play and you can commit to the level you want to commit to. Mm-hmm. So obviously our Colts 1, that's our marquee. These are guys who are contracted professionally and, looking to aspire to play a great level of rugby or happen to be very talented and are able to commit. But then if you go down to Colts 4, Colts 5, that's guys that may go, you know what, I'm working my tail, I'm an apprentice,
Mm-hmm.
I'm earning not a lot of cash and working big hours, and I just want to release.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things, and what we always say to the guys that aren't down here is, if you're down here, we want you to be down here with a smile on your face. We don't.
Yeah.
This is your break.
Yeah.
From what you actually do, whether it be study, whether it be work, and these kids, particularly kids first year out of school, the amount of I suppose, not pressure, that's not the right word, but certainly for school leavers, you go from, as you know, mate, you finish school and you're more or less spoon-fed everything you need to do, told where you need to be, what you need to wear, how you got to do it effectively, and it's up to you how hard you want to work around that. So you go out and you're in the big wide world, and you got to, all of a sudden you may have more bills to pay. You might you might be working 20 hours at the local shops, or working full time and studying part time, or whatever you might be doing, and it's an adjustment period for the guys. So we're just really keen to create an environment here where the kids can come down when they leave school and they can just enjoy themselves. Primarily, no matter what level they're playing, we want them here, and we want them to, when they're here, go, I enjoy being here.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to think about anything else. I've just got to think about my mates and playing rugby.
Yeah.
And that's, one of our pillars, or one of our catch cries, I suppose, is rugby first. So I say to the boys, it's rugby first. You're here to play rugby, and as a benefit of playing good rugby and enjoying your rugby, there's a great social environment down here, and there's a great opportunity for the boys to make new friends, or boys and girls, I should say, to make new friends and create, I suppose, relationships and friendships that go on forever. I'm still mates with guys I played under 6s here, under 7s here.
Yeah.
So they'll make friends, mate, and they'll enjoy themselves, and that's our primary goal. If they're happy, we'll win. If they're not happy, we won't. Simple as that.
So obviously 2020 was a pretty happy year.
Yes, mate. It was. Well, I think it was a great example of footy clubs or rugby clubs and what they provide to people, in that people had a lot going on. We had people losing their jobs. We had people stood down for periods. People who couldn't see their families. All sorts of stuff going on. So coming here, it was a release for people to be able to come here and just forget for a couple of hours during a week of training, or a couple of hours during your game. When you're playing a game of footy and your heart rate's going nuts and you're sweating it up and you're hurting, you don't think about the fact you don't have a job Monday at that point in time.
Yeah.
You forget about it for a brief period.
Yeah.
And that's, I think all clubs in Brisbane and all sporting clubs played a key role in allowing people, when they could get their competitions up and running, played a key role in allowing people to have that release from all the other noise that was happening at that period of our lives.
And I sort of remember what it was like to start playing rugby, and I'd sort of played hockey in the lead up to that, and once I tried rugby, there was no going back.
Yeah.
What is it that parents typically talk about when their kids start playing footy, and some of the benefits they see in the kids?
Yeah. Oh, look, I think the number one thing, sport in general is a great social connector, and it's a great way for kids to build confidence and it's a great way for kids to meet. And the beauty of rugby clubs and other sporting clubs is that you're not just in your school-based friendships. You can meet kids from other walks of life. You can meet kids that have more than you, have less than you, have different relationships with different people, and it's a really good way for kids to, I think, connect with people outside the sphere of friends that they have and make some new friendships. I think, as I said, it's a great way for kids to build confidence, and I think sport's a great way for kids to understand the value of teamwork, the value of respect for your teammates, coaches, and people who volunteer their time. And it's also a good, a community like ours where kids come down here but then they see their parents socialising and talking to different families. It just provides such a great opportunity for parents and families to come together, and on a Friday night you've almost got your, or a game day, but certainly for us the junior Friday nights and to a lesser extent the Wednesday nights with the older kids is that's your East time. So that's when you reconnect with your East people. But I think the values of confidence, respect, teamwork, and enjoyment, and having fun, and understanding that you can play sport and you can have fun and you can enjoy yourself. That's the key driver, and that's where all junior footy, they're not going to win a World Cup in the next week. So we're very much here based on, yes, we want our teams to succeed, but more than anything, we want our teams to enjoy their time and participate and be part of the game, knowing that the result, whilst important, is for us as a club, is not the be all and end all. How our kids enjoy it and what they remember from their time here, that's what's important.
Awesome. And obviously the 75th year this year,
Yep.
a few events on. What are some of those key dates again?
So the most pressing date's 22nd of April. We've got our season launch. We've got very limited tickets available for that, but if you jump on our website, www.easttigers.com, or like us on Facebook and Instagram, you can still get tickets. We've probably got 4 tables left at this point, so before we reach capacity. And then the next big one, which people will be hearing a lot of, is the 23rd of July. That's our 75th anniversary dinner at the Convention Centre.
Awesome. And how many people could you potentially fit at that?
We're looking to get 800 to
Wow.
that. Yeah, so we're being ambitious with that target,
Yep.
but you'd rather, I'd much rather aim high and fall a little bit short than aim low and be mediocre. So we'll we'll go big on that. We'll do our very best to get a huge number to that to that dinner, I should say, and you know that dinner's going to have great guests. There's a band booked. It's going to have a real community party atmosphere to it, and a real celebration feel, because that's what it is. It's a great celebration of our history, and that's what we want that event to be.
Awesome. And before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Mate, just I suppose from the club's point of view, we just want everyone in our community to know we're here, and we want to see you. We want you to engage in the place. We've got, if you jump on the website, like us on social media. All our game day information's up there. We're playing Norths this weekend, but outside of that, the season starts on the 23rd of April, and we'll have 8 huge home games this year, and we'd love to see our community involved. If you want to play rugby, please contact us. We'd love to get juniors and seniors down here. We still have junior age groups with availability, and senior rugby, we've still got availability. So we'd love anyone in our community that's sort of been wondering or doesn't know anything about our club. We'd really welcome you down to engage in the club and be part of a great community.
And what if you're a bit old and broken? Is there an option for us?
We've got a veterans rugby program.
Okay.
So we, over 35. So they play every second Friday night, the guys. So I'm more than happy if anyone wants to contact the club. I can put you in touch with with Josh Stanbury, Villadad, who coordinates the program for us. But we've got a good group of veterans that play. Veterans, loose term, some of these guys could probably still play at a fairly good level, to be honest. They're far from past it. And then if you're a bit more serious, we can swing you into 7th grade and or 6th grade, but that's not for me anymore.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thanks very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to a big year at East.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Michael.